All right, welcome to the show. It is Ringside Report MMA. Tonight, Glover Teixeira beats Thiago Santos. Did he just earn himself a title shot? Khabib says, shut up, I am retired. And we preview UFC in Vegas this weekend. Once again, Ringside Report MMA starts right now. Hi. We're back. This is the show. I'm Dave. Hold on. Where are my friends? Hey! Uh-oh. Where'd Fred go? Fred disappeared. There he is. There he is.
Leave the guy alone.
He said, where are your friends? I decided to hide.
Oh, Freddy's hiding. What just happened there? There was like a switcheroo. Do you see that? Went from one angle to another. All right, guys. We have a lot of MMA to get to here tonight. You guys doing all right? AJ, you're fine? Fred, good?
I'm doing good.
I was not convincing,
a little bit better,
AJ.
in a better mood.
Yeah? AJ was mad at me before. We'll talk about Diego Sanchez and his aliens. Diego Sanchez sees aliens. Very exciting stuff. Diego Sanchez is making a connection with extraterrestrials. I don't know if George St. Pierre is actually seeing the aliens, but Diego Sanchez apparently has made contact. So we will get to that. It is very exciting.
What?
AJ, please put your microphone near your mouth so we can actually hear you.
I did, man.
There
you didn't hear me scream out like, what?
There you go. No, you're very faint. So it's too bad you're not in studio with me, AJ. I miss you guys here in studio. Maybe one day in the future we'll be in studio again. AJ just took his headphone and mic off. AJ's just gone now, Fred. What happened?
I'm not sure. That's AJ showing. Oh my God, AJ, you sound awful. I'm not sure what's happening with you right now, but I think you need to take a break and reset your stuff.
AJ, what's going on? You were fine before. Where are you?
Can you hear me?
Oh man, you sound terrible.
Hello?
What happened, AJ?
Jeez.
I don't know what happened to AJ, but you know what, AJ? You go and fix it. You can disconnect. You can do whatever you have to do. We'll get rid of you. We'll talk to you later. What happened? What happened?
AJ being AJ.
It didn't take more than a minute. Everything was fine. He was fine. He was on. I just told him to move his mic so we could hear him more clearly, and then everything went wrong, and he sounded like a robot.
You know what he's doing right now?
Connection. What?
I bet you anything he's annoying Noah. Like right now he's yelling, Noah, I need help. Need help.
Yeah. Noah, who's like a 9-year-old or 10-year-old that lives with AJ, who's his technical support, which is fantastic. I can't believe that just happened right off the bat. This is why we need AJ like in studio. I was just saying, like, when AJ's in studio, I can adjust his microphone. I can take care of him and make sure that he doesn't have to do any of the technical things. But because we're in these COVID times, AJ's at a distance.
I think your memory is not perfect right now. Because don't you remember you would always tell AJ like you need to talk into the mic. Like you had him right next to you, and it wasn't much like it was true. Maybe a little bit better, but. It wasn't perfect.
That is true. I always used to have to remind him to actually speak into the mic because he'd be all the way over here. He'd be like, Dave, let me tell you.
Hey.
You know, this is what you should be doing. And I'd be like, AJ, no one can hear you. How about you get into the microphone so we can actually hear what you're saying? And that was definitely an issue with AJ. And now when he's on his own, it's like more of an adventure because he's out there trying to control his own stuff. And I think we got him back now. We'll talk MMA in a second. We're just trying to get the whole team here. We're going to talk about Glover Teixeira. He beat Thiago Santos, as we predicted, by the way. We're going to talk about our predictions and what you need to do to make some money while watching this show. AJ!
These fucking headsets, man.
Are you good?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Fred, does he sound correct?
Yeah, I think he sounds okay now.
Fucking thing. All I did was just David screaming, put it closer to your mouth. I put it closer to my mouth, and bam, it's gone.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you back, man. It's good to have you back.
The worst part is the settings were all turned off, man. Maybe we have a hacker. Just like the elections.
No. Oh, boy. Oh, God. AJ actually
You're waiting
believes
for that,
that.
eh, Freddie?
AJ believes that. AJ believes a lot of interesting things. Look, let's talk about Glover Teixeira and what he did last weekend to Thiago Santos. Now, Glover Teixeira came in as an underdog last week, right? Like, let's get the odds. What were do you guys remember what it was?
Yeah, I got them here. Hold on a sec.
I'll pick it up for you here. Glover Teixeira was a plus 185 underdog last weekend. Okay? We all picked him to win. All of us. And we don't often agree on much, let alone a fight pick. You know, and there's a lot of trash talk, there's a lot of competition amongst us. But last weekend we all picked Glover Teixeira, who was a plus 185 dog going into the fight against Thiago Santos, and he won. And you know what?
He was a plus 200 at one point.
Yeah, and I won some money as well because I have a new theory. If we all pick an underdog, bet it. And last time we had Robert Whittaker and Jared Cannonier, and that was an interesting one, and I looked at it really hard, and I thought, you know, there's something to this because that was a pick'em fight, okay? Odds makers didn't know. It was a pick'em on either side. We all picked Whittaker. We all convinced Whittaker won. And what happens? Whittaker just walks through Cannonier, right? Picked him apart. So I feel like now we'll get one wrong at some point where we all go on one side and we'll be wrong. But oftentimes when we get a fight pick wrong, one of us gets it right. Like it doesn't often happen where it's like we're all wrong. It very rarely takes place, right? So I feel like if there's an underdog and we're all picking it, it's pretty good. It's pretty solid.
We're like the underdog kings. We really pull it out of the bag, and we've been doing that for like way back. Like way back. Some underdogs were like not even discussed, and everybody else on different networks were going like the opposite of us, and we came always up ahead, which is incredible. But
I mean, I told you back in the day, AJ, that my man Mike Bisping was going to knock out your boy Luke Rockhold, and he did. I called that underdog back then.
Listen, let's not forget, and Freddie knows too, I said it live when Ronda Rousey was going to lose, and I called that live. Well, everybody was laughing at me, but then that's okay. Guess who got the last laugh?
So I went 4-0 last weekend. Fred went 4-0 last weekend on our fight picks. We both, Fred and I both picked Andrei Arlovski to win over Tanner Boser, and Arlovski was the underdog as well. I actually had an Arlovski Glover parlay that did pretty good last weekend.
Well, in both cases,
4-0 last weekend for Freddie and I. AJ, you went 3-1 because you picked Tanner Boser over Arlovski. Arlovski was a plus 320 at some points, plus 300 another, but like around plus 300 underdog, pretty heavy underdog. Freddie and I both going with the veteran Arlovski who picked up a nice win. Freddie?
Yeah, but let's talk.
Sorry, Freddie was going to talk. Sorry, AJ.
Well, exactly. In both cases, I felt that the older guy was just like the better fighter, the more skilled fighter. So that's why I ended up picking Teixeira, and also for Arlovski the same logic, because I just felt these guys were technically more sound. Now age always comes into it, but Teixeira has looked good in recent fights. So I don't think him being 41 or something like that he is affected him that much, and he looked great, and also he looked like a warrior. Like it wasn't an easy fight still for him, and props to Glover. Excellent win, and same thing for Arlovski. Arlovski is just a better fighter, I feel, than Boser.
Mm-hmm. I felt that going into it. I felt like Arlovski was just, as far as that fight went, he was just a technically better boxer, and it was going to be tough for Boser to land the strikes that he needed to beat Arlovski. That's how I felt that it was going to go down. I know, AJ, you were telling me during the fight you felt that Boser won the fight. It did go to a decision. It was unanimous, 29-28, all in favor of Andrei Arlovski, but you felt Boser actually won the fight?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody was saying it. I mean, if you were looking at, like, real-time feeds on Twitter, pretty much everybody was saying that like Bozer had the first round, and I thought he got the third round. I didn't think Arlovsky did that much. I don't know where you guys are seeing a different fight than I am, but Arlovsky looked like he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't really doing much. I'm saying, look, this is Bozer's first big name fight, and I thought he did very well, to the point where I even reached out to him and said, listen, man, in my books, you won the fight. And I think a lot of people agree with me on that. And it sucks because I had Bozer for the win on that.
Yes.
And I really thought he was going to win it. And so did a lot of other people.
There it is.
Where is it? You saw it?
Yeah. So Bozer was your only loss of the night. You went 3-1 on your fight picks, and Freddie and I went 4-0 because we picked Arlovsky. And I think that's why you think. I think that's why you and only you think Tanner Bozer won the fight. Bozer thought he lost the fight. He even said, he needed to get better, and he felt he lost the fight. All three judges scored it for Arlovsky. Only AJ thought that Arlovsky lost that fight because he had picked Tanner Bozer, and he hates being wrong. No matter when AJ is wrong, he will find a reason why he is correct. It's pretty good. Shout out to Franco Nardolillo on the chat. I see you, Franco. Thanks to everybody watching us right now on Twitch, on Facebook Live, or on YouTube. You can support the channel by going to donate.ringsidereport.net or hitting us up on Super Chat. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can ask us any kind of MMA questions you may have. We're all pretty experienced in the fight game now, pretty experienced over several years of things. You never master martial arts. You never master it, and we're far from masters of martial arts. But
speak for yourself, man.
Well, look, AJ, you're.
I'm a master. I've been doing this shit longer than you were born. But I'm gonna tell you something.
That's true. But let's be honest. In our pursuit of martial arts, no matter what martial art you may be pursuing, I think a true martial artist understands that you've never quite mastered any of the arts. I think you're always learning and you're always improving, right, AJ? You can't be.
No.
No, you don't think so?
And he'll tell you the opposite. That's something that Steven Seagal would say. That's something that maybe some 80s martial arts star would say. But the truth is.
So why continue? Then quit.
Because you love the fight. You're not going to get any better when you're 80 unless you want to start doing Tai Chi.
Where's your thoughts on, can you master jiu-jitsu where you're just I'm done learning anything new in jiu-jitsu. I never need to learn anything again. I don't think you can ever get to that point. No matter how good you are at jiu-jitsu, you always want to learn a new technique, right?
Well, man,
That's what I'm saying.
Not wanting to learn.
There's no doubt about it.
Forget about martial arts. Not wanting to learn is one of the worst things.
Correct.
Matter what, man.
And I'm saying that we are very knowledgeable, but to say that we know everything would be going too far, I think, right? Although AJ believes that he does know everything. AJ would debate, and he'd be like, I know everything about martial arts. I am a total master.
But
I know
AJ's
everything.
the guy that was 3-1 last week, man.
So what does he know?
I know because I think Tanner won the first one and the third round. And you know what? A lot of people agree with me. But you know what? I got screwed by the judges, and so did Bozer. And you know what? It's unfortunate because I don't really think I lost.
You first, Bozer second.
Bozer maybe second, but I believe in Bozer, man.
Believe in Bozer.
He's a Canadian. You got to support our Canadian guys, man. Come on, guys.
I was thinking about this recently, though. When's the last time Canada had a top 10 heavyweight in MMA?
Did we ever have one?
Well,
Did we ever have one?
No, that's what I'm saying. No. Canadian heavyweight MMA, because our population is the way it is, and because as a people we're not huge, Canadians aren't gigantic. You don't see
Alberta.
I mean, there are some big guys out there, but it's not like in the States where they have 300 million people and they have a lot of giant athletes playing football and stuff. It's different, and I feel like heavyweights, we don't have a lot of top-flight heavyweights, and we haven't really had a great UFC heavyweight. Who is the best Canadian UFC heavyweight of all time?
Well,
no clue.
Is it Tim Hague?
AJ, name me 5 heavyweights. Yeah, I'm not sure I could name 5 Canadian heavyweights
that have made the UFC.
Man, look, the closest one that you would say is he's not even Canadian, but trains a lot in Canada is Cyril Gann. That's about it. And
he lives in France, lives and trains in France.
Man,
he's taken here all the time. He's taken like 2 or 3 fights in Montreal, and you say he trains here all the time. No, he doesn't. He trains in France exclusively.
Listen, in my mind,
you're just claiming him because you met him at a fight here in Montreal. That's bullshit.
And you know what? I'm telling you, I was trying to convince him to stay.
Crazy.
But you know what? I'm going to have to find him a girlfriend, a Quebec girl. Freddie, find a Quebec girl. Go on Kijiji or something and get him a wife so he can be like half Canadian. Why not? There's Kijiji.
Why you want to buy a used wife?
Oh. You guys are really killing the channel here. I think we've just been removed.
What? Don't worry about it. You're allowed to say that.
I don't know.
Come on. Listen, man.
Come on, man. Sometimes
he says a lot more crazy shit than that.
I just, I don't think Canadian. I don't think we've had a rich history of Canadian heavyweights in MMA. There haven't been a lot of them, and you know, I look at a guy who's a Canadian heavyweight going into a fight with Andrei Arlovsky. I'm thinking, well, how much competition has this guy really had?
You know who I thought would be good if it's unfortunate that his career kind of came down was like Kung Fu Panda from Quebec. I really thought this guy had it all at one point, and unfortunately met Cyril Gann.
Do you think he could have beat Andrei Arlovsky?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not sure.
I believe it. After seeing him on Saturday,
sure.
I think Kung Fu Panda would have knocked his ass down. Guaranteed.
When's the last time? Does he still fight even?
He's not fighting now, which is
I don't think you respect Arlovsky.
Yeah, I don't think you realize Andrei Arlovsky is like a legend of the sport, and like he's world championship level.
And his striking is very technical. Like his striking is very technical. He's very precise. Yeah, no, Boser threw more strikes. Look, it was a tight fight. I had Arlovsky winning, but it was a good fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight. I mean, Boser came close, and he busted up Arlovsky's leg really bad. Arlovsky's leg from leg kicks is all bruised up. He put a picture. And I see Patrick C. Hamilton. He goes, Mitch Clark is from Saskatchewan, but he's a lightweight. And that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, Mitch Clark, good fighter. You know, we've had a lot of great fighters, Canadian fighters in the UFC, no doubt. You know, lightweight fighters, welterweight fighters, featherweight fighters. You know, you go back to the days of Mark Hominick. You talk about George Rush St. Pierre, of course, Olivier Aubin, Charles Jourdain, who's in the company right now. There's a lot of really good Canadian fighters. John the Bull McDessie. You know, so many great Canadian fighters that have had long, solid UFC careers, just no heavyweights. The only one that I could think of is the late Tim Hague. I think Tim Hague probably had the most success of any Canadian heavyweight in the history of the UFC. Tim Hague died in a fight. If you'll remember, he died after a fight.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Well, it was in boxing, right? It wasn't in MMA.
No.
So, let's not compare the two. So
no, but I'm saying I'm just giving I'm not talking about how it's MMA, whatever. He died in a fight, but I think Tim Hague, probably the greatest Canadian heavyweight MMA fighter that the UFC has ever seen. I can't really think of any others. There really haven't been that many. That's why I just feel like our talent pool at heavyweight, you know, we've been to a lot of local MMA shows over the years. How many heavyweight fights are really on them? You know, you don't see that many heavyweight fights in general in Canadian MMA. And then when you do see them, a lot of them are kind of sloppy and not really very high level. It's just like, well, they found 2 bouncers and let's put them in a cage, you know? No disrespect, but I've seen some guys that don't really look like mixed martial artists, but they're in there because they're big.
I feel for our international show, that's been enough Canadian heavyweight MMA talk. Because like you say, the scene is not great, you know, like there's not much.
I'm just making a point about Tanner Boser and the fact that he hasn't faced a lot of great competition in Canada because Canadian heavyweights just haven't done it throughout the years. It's just something that I thought about. I think I was in the shower thinking about this. All right, it's a shower thought for the show. Okay,
no,
Fred,
but you know what? You bring up a good point because you know. And I'm surprised because, like, when you look at the gyms and you look at the jiu-jitsu gyms, there's so many, like, solid heavyweights. You know, you look at TriStar, there's some, like, heavyweights there, and I can't figure it out either. How come? And
I'm not
just
saying
like
the talent isn't there. Look, there are big. I don't want to upset a bunch of big dudes in Canada. Like, I don't want to upset Canadian heavyweight MMA fighters who wants to piss off a bunch of gigantic dudes who can kick ass. I'm just saying we haven't seen a lot of them in the UFC. I'm sure the talent is there. They just haven't been in the UFC. That's it.
Look, you know what we need to do? You know what the UFC
Talent's
needs to do?
Be somewhere.
Just like Dana White's Contender Series and whatnot. I loved it when the UFC did Canada versus Australia, when we had a lot of Canadian fighters that eventually got contracts in the UFC. What would be nice again is to see like Canada maybe bring out like a whole new line of heavyweights that we don't know about across Canada. I'm sure there are, and like Canada.
Yeah, but again,
US
I don't think there are. I don't think there's that much talent. So I don't know if. And again, the UFC's not ever going to do that. It's a fun idea for you, but I don't think the UFC really has any interest in doing that. And Fred is right. We should talk about some other things here. I want to stick with Glover Teixeira. What?
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Just so before you forget, I looked at the stats. You're looking at 34 punches thrown by Arlovsky to 68 significant strikes thrown by
Glover Teixeira.
Sorry, Andrei Arlovsky.
I wanted to talk about Glover Teixeira.
I just wanted to get to the Bozer thing, and when I looked at the stats and the strikes, the guy won, man.
He didn't.
Okay, go back to Glover.
He didn't win. He didn't win, but that's okay. Glover Teixeira, does he get a title shot? Because because Israel Adesanya was supposed to get the title shot. That was the word. It was supposed to be Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz. But now some people were saying, well, maybe, and the timeline might not work out for Adesanya. Like, he might not be ready in March when they want to do the fight. So if he's not ready to fight Jan in March, they'll do Glover and Blachowicz for the title instead. So there's a chance that Glover may have earned himself a title shot here. Fred, you say no?
Well, if Adesanya is available, that's the fight I want to see. I think Adesanya is a special talent. Mm-hmm. But hey, if he's not available to fight for a couple of months, put in Glover. Let's go Glover versus Jan. And if anything, I feel like Glover has a very good chance. If that were the title fight, I'd probably pick Glover. So, look, I'm saying no because if Adesanya is available, that's the fight I want to see. But if not, Glover's the best the best available guy. There's no doubt about that.
Look, everybody wants to see Israel fight. There's no doubt about it. That would be amazing. But Freddie is right. I mean, right now the guy's on a five-fight winning streak. He won, in a sense, like in a solid win against Santos. I mean, technically he was losing that first round, and he probably was losing the third. But, man, when it comes to the ground, you cannot beat Glover. Glover was nasty. Mm-hmm. I mean, his top control was ridiculous. And, man, he punished Santos. There's no doubt about it. Before he got choked out, he was gassed out. And that's the thing with Glover. At 41 years old, the man, there's one thing that Father Time really does well. It's called jiu-jitsu. So it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're 41 years old, 45 years old, 50 years old, or 90 years old like Helio Gracie, if you got jiu-jitsu, mm-hmm. that shit works. Because boxing and striking and all that, it's hard as time goes on. You don't have the same reflexes. But jiu-jitsu, if that's your go-to, Glover proved it again on Saturday night. And he's going to prove it again against Jan. No offense. Jan has the magic rope, but he doesn't have the magic choke.
He got rocked pretty good there by Thiago Santos, though. He took some pretty heavy punches, but he was able to stay in the fight, recover, and then come back and regain that top control. That was really big for him, getting those takedowns, getting that top control, and then finishing the fight. He sucked the life out of Thiago Santos. When he was on top.
He was a warrior.
Yeah, and he took Thiago's best shit, and he was like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to wind up on top of you, and I'm going to beat you up, and eventually you're going to choke out. And he almost choked him out at the end of the second round. Thiago Santos got lucky there, saved by the bell for sure. That choke was in deep. Glover, after the fight, he said, if I had 10 more seconds, it would have been over right there. But then he was able to sink in that rear naked choke in the third round, pull off the victory. Huge win for him. And, you guys are saying Israel Adesanya. Glover Teixeira has won 5 in a row. He just finished Anthony Smith and Thiago Santos in back-to-back fights, men that Jon Jones himself went to tough decisions with. Glover Teixeira right now, 5 in a row at 41 years of age, 5 in a row in the light heavyweight division. Sure, Israel Adesanya's undefeated, but the guy is much younger. His time will come. I don't recall anybody tripping over themselves to see Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz. Before the UFC announced it, were people really talking about Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz? No, they're talking about Israel Adesanya versus Jon Jones. And if you're not going to do that fight for the light heavyweight title, keep Israel at 185, have him fight Robert Whittaker, because Glover Teixeira has earned himself a title shot. The guy's 41. He won 5 in a row. He just took a beating from Thiago Santos, kept on fighting, warrior spirit, chokes a guy out in the 3rd round. You're going to deny this man, this legend of the sport, a title shot at this point in his career? You're going to deny him the opportunity to become a UFC champion at this point in his career? I think that's wrong. I really do. I am not enamored with the idea of seeing Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz because Blachowicz isn't a money fighter. Glover Teixeira is a money fighter. Have Israel wait because the light heavyweight division, it's just getting interesting. There's no reason to jump in and have Israel Adesanya be Jan Blachowicz's first title defense at light heavyweight. It's so weird. I don't like it. I don't want to see it.
According to Dana White.
Yeah, so what? According to Dana White, it's Dana.
Dana
AJ.
White, man.
Look, I don't care what Dana White says. We're gonna get to Khabib and what he said, and we'll show you that Dana White, to quote the great Khabib, is number one bullshit. Number one bullshit. Okay, so I don't want to see Glover get denied here because it's his time. He's 41. He doesn't have much time left. He's the number one contender in the light heavyweight division. Israel Adesanya has never fought at 205, and you're going to give him a title shot? I don't know. I'm not down with that. This guy has defended the title 2 times at middleweight, and he's going to jump up to light heavyweight to fight for the belt? Like, he's good. He's 20-0. Kick Paulo Costa's ass. Great. But I think Glover's earned it at this point. I'm Team Glover. Give Glover the title shot, okay? Boom.
I'm happy you're passionate about it because I'm not, so I don't really care. Give it to either guy. I'll just say that the fight I want to see is Adesanya versus Jon Jones, and the quickest way to that is having Adesanya defeat Jan Blachowicz, and from there he'll face Jon Jones. So, like, Glover, who got destroyed by Jon Jones, is just a roadblock. I don't need that roadblock.
How about the quickest way to Israel Adesanya versus Jon Jones is putting Israel Adesanya in the fucking octagon with Jon Jones? What the fuck are we waiting for?
Yeah.
Like, why do we have to have this Israel Jan Blachowicz to maybe set up Jones and Israel for the belt? Fuck that. Put Jones and Israel in the main event of a pay-per-view as soon as possible. Heavyweight, light heavyweight, catch weight, who cares? Put them in the cage. You don't need a belt. You don't need shit. If that's the fight we all want to see, give us that fight and put Glover and Jan in the co-main event. Like, I don't give a shit.
That's a good
What
one.
are we waiting
That's not
for
bad.
here? Like, I don't want to sit around and deal with this bullshit. Glover's 41. He's won 5 in a row at 205. He just smoked Thiago Santos and Anthony Smith back-to-back. In my books, that earns you a title shot more than beating middleweights.
I agree that Adesanya versus Jones doesn't need a title. Like, super fights like that don't need a title. So, yeah, you could still do Adesanya versus Jones if that's the fight the fans want to see, like I think.
Which it is.
That's the fight I think the fans... Yeah, exactly. So, you could do it without a title. So, yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like,
No.
to me, the title is a little meaningless right now because the real champion is Jon Jones. For me to consider Jan or whoever champion at light heavyweight, they're going to have to defend it a couple of times. Like, you know, if Jan loses his next title fight, well, in my head, John Jones is still the champion. But if Jan wins like 3, 4, 5 titles in a row, well, then, I got to start giving him his respect. So right now, Jones versus Adesanya, I would love to see that, title or no title.
I'm seeing Woodland Metal, our buddy Jason out in Mexico. He says, agree with Dave. I like the Glover fight. Jones versus Israel main event. Co-main Blachowicz versus Teixeira. He's down with that. I'm down with that. That makes sense to me. I don't know why we're fucking around and like, well, it has to be for a belt and we got to set it up. And like, what? And why does Israel just get a title shot? Like, Israel has beef with John Jones. Israel doesn't have beef with Jan Blachowicz. No one was asking for that fight until Dana said it was happening. No one was like, you know what we really need? Israel versus Jan. No one said that shit. I don't get it. AJ? Come on.
No, I was going to say I agree with you. Right. I mean, you're right. I agree with you. That would make an amazing UFC card. That would be like a blockbuster card. There's no doubt about it. But the thing is that Israel keeps saying that he only wants to fight for a title. And he wants to be a 3-division champ.
Defend your belt.
Listen. If he fights against Jan and wins, then it gives an opportunity maybe for Jones to come down again and fight Israel for a title again.
How about this?
Look,
how about Israel and Jones fight at 205 or heavyweight, something like that. They fight at 210-pound catch weight, whatever, for the BBMF title, the big bad motherfucker title. So you had the BMF title. BMF title was fought with 155-pounders, or was it 170 when Nate and George fought? It was 170, right? 170-pounders. Let's let 220-pound guys fight for the BBMF title, the big bad motherfucker title, main event, co-main event, Glover versus Jan for the UFC light heavyweight title. You're welcome.
Dave, you know
big
what?
Bad
I don't
motherfucker.
agree with you often, but I agree with you on that one. That's an awesome idea. And you know what? I hope Dana White hears this and actually listens to Dave Simon and takes this seriously because that is a great idea.
If the UFC introduces the big bad motherfucker title, I'm going to want some royalties or something. I want a cut. I want a replica or something. You got to send me a replica.
That's what he's going to send you.
If they make a big bad motherfucker title, they got to send me a belt. It doesn't have to be as expensive as a real one, but it's got to look nice. At least that.
Or at least invite us to Vegas. That would be awesome, man.
I don't want to go to Vegas.
We'll bring our crew with us.
I'm scared to get COVID.
Franco, you're coming to Vegas with us. I'll throw the party. I'll run it. Believe me, it'll be good. But you know what? That's
Franco
a great
316
idea.
wants a BBW title. I don't think that's going to work in the UFC. My God. That's not what I'm saying. BBMF, not BBW, Franco.
Could be interesting.
Careful with the letters.
But,
exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to say
Go ahead,
make
AJ.
hand gestures that might get you in trouble.
Go ahead, AJ.
No, but you know what? No, you know what? Which is the hand gesture that Lady Gaga was doing that got her in trouble? But listen.
I don't know.
Listen.
No clue.
She was doing
clue what you're talking about.
You don't follow.
No.
You gotta follow TMZ, man. TMZ.
Nope.
Listen,
that's not what
you
you're
know what,
following.
Dave? That's Listen. Well, yeah. I think it's what's it called? Pornhub. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. What I agree with is they need to create that fictitious, well, not fictitious, but that secondary title, which would be it's real.
Fugazi.
Listen, the BMF title needs to be done again, man. They need to do that again. That was awesome. A lot of people came out to watch that fight.
All right.
And I think this is a great idea in the heavyweight.
So we are in agreement.
Or an in-between.
So we all agree Glover Teixeira should get the title shot. Israel Adesanya should fight Robert Whittaker, right? All right, we all agree? Is that what we agreed on? Whatever happened to that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. Whittaker said he didn't want to fight Israel. That was the weird thing. So I guess he can't fight Whittaker because Whittaker earned a title shot, but he's like, that guy beat me up last time. I don't want to fight him. It's weird.
Strange, eh?
I mean, strange, but not strange. I kind of get it. Like, if you're a UFC fighter, you fought Israel Adesanya, he whooped your ass and knocked you out, and you don't think you can beat him, why try?
But you know what's funny? He's saying that, which I'm kind of surprised. And then you got Jan that's talking trash. He's saying, he'll crush Israel, and he's going to haunt him for, basically beat the crap out of him, and he'll be haunted for the rest of his life thinking of Jan. So that's how confident Jan is in wanting to fight Israel. So it's kind of funny because I thought Whittaker, there's something about Whittaker ever since his appendix or whatever happened, and he lost the fight right after. There's something about him that even though he won, like, there's something that's not Whittaker anymore. He doesn't seem as dangerous as he did in the past. I don't know.
He looked good in his last fight. He looked good in his last fight, and if anything, he deserves a shot at Adesanya also. So we'll see what happens. You talk about haunted. I'm just going to switch subjects here. So I Googled Lady Gaga hand gesture, and the first article that comes is top 10 signs that Lady Gaga is a pawn of occult forces. So thank you, AJ.
Oh, is that what she did? Some sort of Illuminati? AJ believes in the Illuminati. AJ, you believe in it? You do?
Listen, man.
Did
you ever see Little Mickey?
What is it? This thing?
Careful, man. That one.
That's
Dave, that one now is considered that one's a dangerous one, Dave.
Oh, I thought it was a nicer pizza pie. No?
Nope.
It looks like a white supremacist.
Okay, well, I'm not a white supremacist. I'm like,
I
have
white.
many. Yeah, I look pretty white, but I'm like I had a bar mitzvah, so there's that. I don't think they allow Jews and white supremacists. Do they? Maybe they do. Maybe they do. But I'm also part Vietnamese. I don't think they allow the Vietnamese into white supremacists, do they?
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm trying to get out of being called a white supremacist because I'm not. I was
going to say something and I kept it to myself.
Unlike the current president of the United States, denounce white supremacy and all that bullshit. All right?
What?
I denounce them. I denounce all white supremacy. Unlike the president.
Well,
the current president who despite what AJ may think, will no longer be president in February of 2021.
Courts will decide.
Oh,
Courts will decide.
Ooh, shit, you guys.
Listen, man. Listen, you know what the worst part? You know what the worst part of losing Trump would be? Is that comedians had so much material for the next 4 years. It's going to be tough for comedians. It's going to be tough for our show because we were always like having a good laugh and like, whatever. Now we're going to talk about Biden.
I'm sure comedians would rather a responsible response to COVID from their government rather than some jokes, rather than some easy jokes, easy slam dunks about their doofus president.
Country.
Yeah, I think they'd rather their comedy clubs be open. I'd rather they have open comedy clubs because they don't have a pandemic that's getting worse and worse by the day.
Oh, yeah. Joe Biden's going to fix that by miracle. Oh, yeah.
Well, no one can fix it. No one can fix it.
Joe Biden is some type of,
here we go.
Witch.
No one can fix it miraculously, but you can offer a responsible response or an irresponsible response. You could do a better job.
I can't wait for the first country Joe Biden's going to bomb.
You can't wait for a bombing of a country. How dare you? That's terrible.
Well, because I'm the most anti-war person. That's the main reason why I hate Obama is because he promised he would stop doing it and he just kept doing it. So I'm just going to be there to say I told you so.
I think the United States is going to bomb countries no matter who their president is. That's just the way the United States operates.
Actually, you know what? I got to take back something.
Fred,
Jason actually said something on the chat. Listen to this. He says that Jim Carrey, my all-time favorite, it's true. He plays Biden so well, man. It was amazing. The Biden and the whole Pence with the mosquito thing. Have you seen that skit? It's awesome, man. Jim Carrey, man. The real Illuminati. Greatest comedian, too. I know, man.
Oh, shit.
Who hung around with
Thank you, Jason, for the super chat. We appreciate you. Thank you, Jason. Yeah, he says he likes the Jim Carrey impression on Saturday Night Live. I've not seen that show.
And Yukon likes my hat. That's right, man.
Yukon Cornelius. Yukon Cornelius. Quite a name.
I love it.
Quite a name. I like it. And we got a new
Listen, man.
We're getting new likes coming up. I'm seeing that.
It's about
pop
time,
up.
man.
Look at that.
At least people are not saying that we suck.
Don't forget,
some do, actually,
don't forget to like this video, to also subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment as well. Let's get to some other shit we have to talk about. How about Khabib? Okay, so last week we had some some news, right? Dana said he's not retired. You remember? You remember when Dana was like, Khabib's not retired? I talked to him, and he's going to come out of retirement, right?
Did he talk to his mother? No.
I think he talked to his mom because Khabib has news, okay? Here is what Khabib says. This is Khabib. This is translated by RT. Khabib spoke to a bunch of reporters in Russia. And this is what Khabib says. Dana wants me to continue fighting and generate revenue. I can make money myself. I'm at the peak of my career and can fight for very large purses, but I made this decision, and I think this is the best time. Not everyone can retire at their peak, but I know that in a year or 2 or 5, I'd have to face that decision again. I did enough in the sport to be considered the best. Today, I was ranked as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter, so the mission is accomplished. What else is there to do? Make money? I'll always be able to do that. So there is the word, and I think probably the final word on it, from Khabib Nurmagomedov. Dana says he's not retired, but Khabib says, yes, I am. Shut up, Dana. He didn't say that. It wasn't that disrespectful, but you know what I mean. He was like saying, I know Dana wants to make money, and Dana's going to say what he's going to say, but I'm retired. A little disappointed. I wanted to see him fight GSP, but it seems like he's staying retired. Right?
I don't know, man. If you listen to Ali Aziz, the first thing he tweeted was 30-0. So Khabib's manager is pushing the fact that he's looking at that 30-0. So you know what? Khabib, it's just a matter of time. He's going to be just like George. He's going to pick that fight. He's going to stay on the outside till the time comes that is going to be that fight. The minute, and you know George is more than willing to fight Khabib. He said that in the past on his retirement. If he would have had the Khabib fight, he wouldn't have retired.
So,
and you know what's going to pull George out of retirement?
So the
Khabib,
two guys
to say yes.
The two guys that stand to make the most money from Khabib Nurmagomedov coming back and fighting say Khabib is going to come back and fight, right? That's what you're telling me? The promoter, Dana White, and his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, right?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Listen,
Fred, what do you think?
I'm just going to say, like, if Khabib takes, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back, let's say, in a year or 2, maybe, you know, he changes his mind. But for right now, he's not coming back. Right now, he's retired. So let's say for a year or 2, he's retired. In 2 years, you think George St. Pierre wants to fight? No, George St. Pierre needs to fight, like, within the next 12 months. So I think it's the end of George St. Pierre versus Khabib, unless there's a major change quick. Like, this fight doesn't have an unlimited time to get done. You know, George is getting up there in age. And right now, I believe Khabib when he says he wants to stay retired. So maybe he'll change his mind in a year or 2. But for right now, it's not happening.
Yeah. I'd love for him to change his mind. I just don't think it's going to happen. AJ?
Look, I believe Khabib when he says he's going to stay retired. But do I believe the fact he's going to be retired forever? No. And when it comes down to like Dana White or George St. Pierre, as well as Khabib, they love to fight with the crowd. And there's no way at this point Khabib needs to fight anybody while it's still COVID. He's going to wait till next year. And I think next year is going to be that fight where George can still fight at his peak and Khabib as well. And sometime in springtime, summertime, we're going to have a full capacity stadium out in, I don't care where it is, Miami, Texas, or whatever, where there's 60, 70,000 fans, and you're going to see a George versus Khabib fight. That'll happen, but that has to happen with the crowd.
That won't happen.
GSP is going to be 40
Mark my word.
in May.
So
and
what?
Glover
Teixeira won 41.
Girlfriend.
But think about it, Freddie. But Glover's fighting 41. You know, Arlovski's fighting at 46.
Come on, stop.
George is in way better shape than all these guys. Better
he's way more
mental health, better physical health.
Yeah, exactly. Those are all good points. I hate the word I'm going to use, but he's smarter. He's just like smarter at life decisions, and George
richer.
Won't be fighting at 40-something.
And richer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's richer also. Like George doesn't really need the money, and George's not the type of guy that's going to be fighting at 41, 42. I really doubt that. So I think like this fight against Khabib has maybe 1 year left of shelf life. Like if it's not done within a year, it's never going to get done.
And it might get done, AJ. It might get done. Okay, they might do it, and I'm still holding out hope because I'm hopeful, and I want to stay optimistic about this because I want to see George fight Khabib because it'd be a great fight. But full stadium, summer or spring 2021, get the fuck out of here, man. That's not happening.
Listen, man, it could happen. If COVID, by the summertime comes, look, we're already having capacity crowds at certain sports and whatnot. Not full, obviously, but by next June, July, let's hope COVID is nowhere close to what it was in 2020. And you know what? These are fights that you need crowds. Look, I'm missing the crowd. I'll be honest. Like, it's all right. Like, the UFC is probably the only sport where I can watch it and be okay with having no crowd. But the truth of the matter is, that crowd, man, I'm missing it. It's not the same when you watch, like soccer. I'm watching like Manchester or whatever, and there's like nobody there, man. It's like horrible. You're watching like football. There's no one there, man. It's like weird.
You're watching football?
Why not?
COVID has killed my interest for most sports. I watch MMA, and I watch old school wrestling.
Yeah, I like. I mean, I still watch pro wrestling. Obviously, AEW had a bit of a crowd for their pay-per-view. It was pretty good. But UFC without a crowd doesn't really bother me. I don't really miss it. I don't really care. I'm good with it.
I would prefer a crowd, but I mean, a good fight is a good fight.
Yeah, that's it. I think we're still seeing great fights. The action is the same. I don't really need a crowd. I hope that they do have crowds again. I would like things to get back to normal, but it's not hurting my enjoyment of watching the UFC. It doesn't doesn't do anything.
No, and that's what I'm saying. As sport goes, like out of all sports, when you're looking at the UFC, it's still strong, even though you don't feel or see that crowd. It's still doing well. But the bottom line, for the fighters to come out and fight with like full synergy, man, you need that crowd. And a guy like George needs a crowd. A guy like Khabib needs that crowd. And you know what? We need that crowd. And I want to see that fight with a crowd, not in a freaking UFC Apex or in Abu Dhabi with like 30 sheiks and the 20 like cameramen. Forget it, man. I want to hear the crowd. I want to hear like the boos. I want to hear the Whopper song. I want to hear everything, man. I'm missing it.
Yeah. So Conor McGregor wants to fight in front of a crowd, right? Remember, he said he was going to fight January in Cowboy Stadium in front of a capacity crowd, but that's obviously not going to happen. Apparently, Conor hasn't signed the bout agreement, but the UFC and Dustin Poirier and everybody is proceeding as if the fight is a go, January 23rd. Conor's even talking about the fight on his Twitter. He's like, yeah, the fight's happening, da-da-da-da-da. But Dana White, last we heard, says Conor hasn't officially signed the bout agreement, but I guess he will at some point, and we'll get that fight January 23rd. What's your feel on this? Is the fight going to happen January 23rd?
Look, the reason why he's not signing is because he wants to fight December. And that's the difference. He wants to fight on the December 12th card, if I'm not mistaken. And that's the thing. Maybe Poirier is not ready or whatnot, but Conor wants to fight this year. And you know what? If Poirier doesn't fight, Justin Gaethje's name has come up. That could be interesting. I'd rather see that fight, than Poirier, to be honest.
But
that'd be an interesting fight.
Like I'm reading right now, Dana White, who doesn't always tell the truth, I'll admit that. He basically said that Poirier did sign, and that he's waiting for McGregor to sign the paper. So if anything, it's McGregor that's holding it back.
That's it. Conor hasn't
he wants December.
Yes, because he wants to fight maybe earlier. I guess that's a possibility. And, they did just lose their main event for the UFC pay-per-view in December. It was supposed to be Amanda Nunes against Megan Anderson, but Amanda had to pull out. I think she's got an injury. So that fight is going to be rescheduled for some point in early 2021 for the Women's Featherweight Championship. So it looks like they need a main event unless they're going to go with the men's bantamweight title bout of Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling as their main event, which they could do. They could do that, but I wouldn't mind seeing a Conor fight instead. How How about Michael Chandler? I know they've been talking about Michael Chandler doing something. He's a fun matchup for Conor because it's a good test, of the wrestling. Like he's gonna wrestle Conor. It's not like Khabib, but it's a good challenge for Conor. I don't mind a Michael Chandler fight for Conor. I'm more interested in seeing him fight Michael Chandler or Justin Gaethje or Tony Ferguson over Dustin Poirier. Over Dustin Poirier. He fought Poirier. He beat him. I don't really see what the difference is going to be next time they fight. So I'd rather see Conor fight somebody else. Don't sign the bout agreement, Conor. Fight Michael Chandler at UFC 256 in December.
No. I don't think that'll be a great fight for Conor to take. But if you were going to say Tony Ferguson, wow, that's interesting. You say Justin Gaethje, that's interesting.
I put the belt on the line. Put the belt on the line because Khabib ain't coming back. Strip him of the belt. Put the belt on the line. Give the belt back to Conor where it belongs. Right? That's what everybody wants. Conor is champion in the UFC. Just makes sense.
And look, I'd rather see Chandler fighting Poirier. That would make a great fight. And that's a great way to come into the UFC to fight a guy like Poirier. If you could do some like manhandling of Poirier, then you earn respect. But again, let's not forget it's Chandler, man. And like I think he's going to do very well in the UFC.
Yeah, he probably will.
Like, again, I'm going to play the card of, I don't really care. I just want Conor to come back. Poirier's a good fight, man. What you got against Poirier? If it's Poirier, I'll be happy. Many years ago, man. Poirier's been better, and Conor's been partying, so
you think it's going to go down a different way? I asked you, last week, do you see this fight going down a different way?
No, but give a fight to Conor that he'll feel confident, man. That's why they gave him Donald Cerrone last time. You got to treat Conor well, You got to give him gimmies and all. Build him back up.
Look, Conor's.
I don't know.
Listen, Conor's.
Not if he's going to be the world champion. Not if he's going to be the world champion. There's no gimmies left at this point for Conor. Okay, Poirier's another gimme. Okay,
Are you kidding me?
No, that's a setup.
No, that's not a gimme.
He beat him.
That's Dustin Poirier, man.
He beat him before. He's going to
finish him. I know he beat him, but that was the first fight of his UFC career.
Bet on Dustin Poirier right now. I double dare.
No, I'm not going to.
Exactly.
I'm probably not. But what I'm saying is Dustin Poirier is no chump change. I'm just saying I'm
not saying he's a bad fighter. I'm just saying Conor McGregor is much better and will knock him unconscious. He's going to put him to sleep in the first couple rounds.
Listen.
It's not a contest. They fought before. Conor whooped his ass. They're going to fight again. We all think the same shit's going to happen. What the fuck are we arguing about? Have Conor fight somebody else. Have him fight Gaethje. Have him fight Ferguson. Have him fight Nate Diaz. At least we know Nate Diaz has a fucking shot.
That's good.
Give somebody a fucking shot. You're giving Conor lost a fight, so you're trying to baby him back into MMA by giving him fucking Cerrone, and we all knew was going to happen there. And then fucking Poirier.
No.
I will bet right now, Conor McGregor will knock out Dustin Poirier. If they fight, he's knocking him out. 100%. Put the fucking money down. It's easy money. It's a fucking gimme, AJ. You know this. I know. We all know this. When the time comes to pick the fight, we're all picking Conor McGregor by fucking knockout. What the fuck are we talking about?
Look.
What are we saying?
I'm looking at the feed. And Jason's putting $25 on Poirier. I mean, people think the other way, man.
Jason will
But
lose
you got to
his money.
remember.
I like Jason.
Hopefully he does for you, Jason.
Jason, just drop it in the super chat and forget the bet, man. It'd be money better spent. I'll tell you what, Jason. You drop the super chat, and we will spend the money on a bet for Conor, and then we'll win, and then we'll fucking give you a little bit of profit. All right? Jesus, what are we talking about?
Man, oh man, oh man. Listen, and just to get back to the Cowboy Cerrone point, listen, man, he knocked out Cowboy Cerrone like it was nothing. And people, this is Cowboy Cerrone. Cowboy Cerrone is one of the most dangerous fighters out there, man. One of the most resistant fighters out there. And to knock a guy out like that, I mean, I tip my half to Conor. And the biggest mistake for Conor coming back to the UFC after being off for 2 years was to take that Khabib fight. That was the biggest mistake. He needed a warm-up fight. He needed a Dustin Poirier before Khabib, and it would have been different. Sometimes people try to rush in.
It would have been different.
That's the problem. Look, man, it's different, man. It's like us not doing jiu-jitsu. We haven't been doing jiu-jitsu because of COVID. Jason, unlike Jason, I see him. He's always training and whatnot.
Speak for yourself.
I know I'm not, but
you're not doing jiu-jitsu because of COVID.
I'm going to be rusty like shit.
Yeah, you're going to be rusty like shit. Fred, I rolled today. Fred's got an injury. We're all doing jiu-jitsu, just not you.
I was going to say, imagine Conor wins the title and by magic, like, defends it twice within a year and a half, and keeps on trash talking. You think Khabib comes back to shut him up? Or
hell yeah. He'll have to.
Yep.
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
And he will shut him up, too. He'll smash him. Khabib is amazing. Khabib will beat the shit out of Conor, 100%. But Conor's going to beat Dustin Poirier, 100%. What is his super chat? Patrick C. Hamilton says, I will bet on GSP and Khabib staying retired. I like that.
I don't know.
I like that the bets are just coming down now. People are just throwing money down. Jason wants to bet us $50 for the fight. Like, Jason said he rolled last week. He sparred twice boxing last week. Same this week. Jason's kicking ass. We're all
he's a machine, that guy, man.
True martial artists find a way, even despite all the gyms being closed and COVID restrictions and red zones. The real ones, AJ, real martial artists like Fred and I, the real OGs, the real veterans of the martial arts game, not like you, young man, all right? The real old martial artists like me and Fred, we find a way. Not like you come late, Johnny come lately into martial arts, start watching UFC when Ronda Rousey came around. All right, you're one of these.
Who?
I'm joking.
Are you talking about me?
I'm talking about you.
Jesus, Murphy. I was there to see the first UFC one live, man.
You were there before.
I was watching it live.
You were there.
I was there, man.
When the Japanese guy went over to see Helio, you were there. You were learning with Helio. Man. Back in the day.
AJ saw Ronda's first judo fight.
Exactly.
As a kid.
Yeah.
Well, she's a lot younger, eh? Come on.
AJ grew up rolling with Judo Gene LaBelle. So, of course, he was there with Ronda.
Gene LaBelle. Yeah, now we're talking a real OG. That's a real OG, man.
Just like you, AJ. You guys are roughly the same age, aren't you? You just look better for your age somehow.
I hope he doesn't choke me out like Steven Seagal and make me crap.
Yeah, he made Steven Seagal poop himself. He pooped
Not according
himself.
to Steven. He's like, oh, that's just fabricated.
Yeah, well.
It's not true. But according to Gene LaBelle, yeah, Steven Seagal dropped a couple of doo-doos. But you know what?
AJ was in school as a young boy learning the fine arts, martial arts with a young Bruce Lee. I mean, AJ goes back, man.
I do go back.
School.
AJ, listen.
AJ, did they show you to go under your desk in case of the bomb when you were in school?
I did.
Did you really? Did you really? For real?
Yeah, man.
You did bomb drills where you had to go under your desk? How old are you for real? It's so crazy. Like, sometimes I'm like, what? Like, there are things that you've done in your life, and I'm like, are you 100? I don't get it. You're not that old.
I'm going to tell you something.
It's
Listen,
like you've experienced things that are of an older generation. I don't understand. It's like you grew up in a time machine. It's strange because you're not as old as your experiences would dictate. Very bizarre. I don't get it.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. Helio Gracie was training jiu-jitsu till he was like 90-something, and he pretty much trained jiu-jitsu, and then he passed away in the afternoon. Now, I'm going to tell you, jiu-jitsu keeps you young. Boxing as well, as long as you don't get hit like too many times and look like Arturo Gatti, which was one of my favorite boxers of all time.
Don't go to Brazil either.
I'm going to tell you something. Don't go to Brazil, man. Brazil, they'll knock you off for like $5.
If you're a rich boxer, stay out of Brazil.
Stay out of Brazil, man. I saw that documentary, and I'm still convinced Arturo Gatti was murdered.
That's what it seems
for sure, man. I don't care what anybody says.
I'm not going to say that he was. Allegedly, there are rumors about, I don't know what happened exactly, but it was a sketchy situation.
No. Arturo Gatti, man, he was taken out. There's no way. After watching that documentary, I'm convinced.
It seemed like he may have been murdered, but I can't tell. I don't know. I can't say for sure.
He may have been.
I don't know.
He was totally murdered.
The circumstances looked a little bit like D'Angelo Barksdale, I think there was a little similar thing happening.
Like fabricated?
I'm pretty sure
AJ didn't get it.
I'm pretty sure Stringer Bell set up both hits.
No, I didn't.
Strangely enough.
What was that, Freddie? I didn't get it.
That's okay, AJ.
Okay, man.
Listen, man, you know what kills me the most about that is how, like, no offense, but apparently they're saying that he committed suicide. But there's no way that a guy who commits suicide is found, like, 7 feet, like, further away, like, by a rope that, like, basically snaps if you pull it together. It's bullshit, man.
Yeah,
but you know what?
Just like D'Angelo, man.
It's sketchy.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if Arturo Gatti killed himself, then Jeffrey Epstein did too. Okay? Put it that way. How about that?
Illuminati.
I don't see how that ties in, but okay, AJ.
Well, yeah. Listen. Your favorite president was on his plane many times. So you know what? Apparently, he's the head goat.
Who's my favorite president?
I thought it was Bill Clinton.
No, my favorite president is Harry Truman. You know why?
Okay, why?
Because he made the toughest decision in the history of the world. He dropped a nuke on Japan. Like, imagine the balls it takes. I mean, I'm not saying he was. I'm not saying he was right to do it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he was right to do it. However, it did end World War II. It seemed pretty horrible, but it did seem to put a good.
World War II was pretty much ended already.
Well, I don't know what he did. Look, but this guy, I just like the balls on a guy.
David's gonna get us cut off, man.
He's the guy who dropped a nuke. Like,
such a warmonger. No wonder you love Biden.
That's right. I don't like Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden is the worst.
He's gonna bomb.
Joe Biden is the worst.
Happy.
He's the worst choice for president. Worst choice for president other than Donald Trump. Just really terrible. Awful Joe Biden. I don't like the Kamala. I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like any of them. But I do respect a guy who drops a nuclear bomb. It just seems like a tough thing to do. You know, it's like, fuck it. Let's drop a nuke. Let's just see what happens. It's just like, damn, man. That's cold, you know? I just think, what an interesting guy. My favorite president. And honestly, I think that tells you what I think about American presidents. I think they're all kind of shitty. I don't really like any of them. But I'll respect you if you drop a giant bomb. It's like, oh, shit. Don't fuck with that guy. That guy's crazy, you know? It's like the Kim Jong-un of American presidents. Except Kim Jong-un couldn't get a bomb together. I mean, look at all these crazy guys that try to drop nuclear bombs. And there's Harry Truman. He fucking did it, bro. No one in human history's done that shit. No one's ever done it before.
How about peace and love, man? That's where I come from.
No, for sure.
The age of Aquarius, man. You know?
Yeah, the 60s.
Drugs, sex, rock and roll. What is that shit of dropping bombs?
Were you born in the 60s?
At that time.
Were you born in the 60s?
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. I'd rather be born in the age of Aquarius. This guy. I'm going to tell you something. Why don't you do it live on air, man? And talk like...
Oh, I would love
Truman. You know what I'd love to see?
Have I told you guys my plan for my old age? Like when I get to be your age, what my plan is? When I retire?
Japanese forest? I hope not.
My plan, when I turn 65, and I retire, my plan is to do LSD until I die.
Well, that's nice. It's something to look forward to.
That's my plan.
It's a nice retirement. It's
when
like,
I hit 65,
Freedom 55.
I've told my girlfriend already. I was like, look, all I want for my 65th birthday is several sheets of acid, and you have like 30. And she's like, well, how am I gonna get acid? And I'm like, you have 30 years to figure it out. Like, figure it out, you know. So in about 30 years, when I'm fully retired and I'm done, and you know, we all live on.
How about you get your own acid?
Well, okay, fine.
That's what I would tell you.
What? I'm 65 and I'm asking for one thing for my birthday. I guess I'll get my own acid. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but the plan is when I get old, if I get to that age, which hopefully, LSD till I die. All right.
65 ain't that old, man. Ask AJ. He's been that for like 5 years.
I know.
65 ain't that old, man.
I know, but it'll be fun.
No, man, it ain't that old.
Yeah, so if I live to 95, that's 30 years on acid. That'd be a lot of fun, okay? George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelic spent like a decade straight on LSD without a break. Like, it wasn't like, oh, they took acid every day. No. They took acid constantly to the point that they were constantly tripping, a constant trip for like a decade, and they produced some of the greatest music in the history of funk. Parliament, P-Funk was all made on LSD. I mean, who knows? I may make some great funk records when I'm 65. Okay, guys? I'm just saying, when you see me and I'm old, don't come near me because you don't know what I'll be on. I'm going to be fucked up.
Just don't smoke crack and get a foot job at the same time like Hunter Biden.
Ooh, touche. But he's not even 65. How old is he? Like 40? You could have done better than that.
What is wrong with that? The guy's got a bunch of money. He doesn't really have a job. He likes to have sex with ladies and smoke a little crack. Like, what's the problem with that? I don't know why everybody and his dad is running for president. I don't really understand why this is such a big issue. I mean, I've seen Donald Trump. Donald Trump Jr. has like killed tigers. I've seen this guy with like tigers and lions and shit that he's killed. That seems way more reprehensible to me than having some sex with some ladies that you've given money to and then smoking some rock. I mean, come on, come on.
You know who got the biggest
slam
of all? I would say like the guy who the worst of all, like
the ladies with Hunter Biden, I think.
No. The guy who got like shit on for the littlest thing when you think about
Trump.
compared to the shit that's happening.
Didn't he get shit on, or was that was
No. Pee Wee Herman. That poor guy was just pulling his willy in a movie theater, and he lost his career.
Willy.
And these guys are slamming like there's no tomorrow with foot jobs and toothless
Pulling your willy in a
and
theater
all this kind of stuff. And
man.
Listen, man, it wasn't that bad.
You can't yank
Think about it. Poor Pee Wee, man.
You
Free
can't
Pee Wee.
yank your
They
tubin
ruined
in
his
public.
career. He can't find his bike anymore.
As that guy Jeffrey Toobin found out, you cannot yank your tubin in public.
He lost his
you know what I saw the other day?
Him tweeting. He lost his job, and him tweeting about it. The replies were just golden, man. It was worth.
I'll check that out. Speaking of great tweets,
listen, I gotta give a
how
shout
about
out.
Diego Sanchez?
I gotta give a shout out to someone. Wait, I gotta give a shout out to my buddy while we're on that topic.
Oh boy!
Shout out to Pauly Shore, man. Ringside Report.
While we're on the topic of.
AJ, did you jerk off Pauly Shore at some point in your long life?
No, Pauly Shore is one of the best, man. One of my favorite, man.
Does he watch our show? I don't get it. Why'd you give him a shout out?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Shout out to Pauly Shore, man. He's watching our show.
Is he?
Listen, man, old school. Who would know more than
I just saw Pauly Shore. I just saw Pauly Shore on a really good documentary series about the Comedy Store.
Really?
Yeah, Showtime did a documentary series, like several episodes about the Comedy Store in L.A. Joe Rogan's on it. I know you love Joe Rogan, AJ.
I love Joe Rogan.
A lot of good comedians
Best show
and stuff.
ever.
Very good documentary, The Comedy Store. If you're looking for something to watch, I like that.
Yeah, I want to see Pauly Shore, man. He's like one of the funniest ever.
Okay. Here's Diego Sanchez. He's pretty funny.
I'm sure he's on acid.
Doing energy work on my patio as a UFO flew right up on me. I called for my daughter, quick. She watched this thing hoover only hundreds of feet away. Albuquerque is a trip. Sightings are regular here. But this shit was contact tonight. It was obvious. It was watching me.
Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious? What is this, a George St. Pierre joke?
You guys want to hear when I thought I saw a UFO, my story?
Okay.
What?
This
Freddie,
goes
what
back
are you,
a long
like that?
time ago, man.
Were you on acid?
You were tripping on acid.
No, just weed. But we're like 3-4 buddies, and we're like 18, so that's pre-cell days. Like, we didn't have cells, and it's a good thing, because we would have probably called 911 and looked stupid. But yeah, we saw this thing in the sky, and it had a light going around it, so we followed it. And that's why every time somebody asks me, tells me I saw a UFO, I say, did you follow it? To make sure it's a UFO. Because, I mean, if you just saw something, man, it doesn't mean nothing. Because we followed it, and it ended up being a blimp with a light around it. Like, middle of the night, a blimp in the sky with a light circling it. Non-stop, but for a good 10 minutes, man, we thought it was a UFO. So, like, I feel Diego, man. I'm not going to judge Diego. Plus, the drugs and all that.
Okay, how about this, though? I love you all, heart. Even you bots hired to kill my identity. What the fuck is this guy on? What's going on here? He thinks. Do you also, Fred? Do you have an experience about bots trying to kill your identity as well, or maybe you thought bots were trying to kill your identity and then you found out it was a blimp?
Maybe he meant boots.
I'm not sure you want me to go there, but.
Or how about this? Bill Cosby Jones gonna sue me?
What?
I don't know. Diego
Bill
Sanchez
Cosby
is
Jones...
full bananas. He's gone full bananas. I don't know if he should be fighting in the UFC given his mental state and his Twitter. Maybe it's all jokes. Maybe he's like the Iron Sheik. Who knows what's going on with Diego Sanchez? He's becoming quite a character in his extended age at this point. Just wild. Speaking of older fighters, legends in the game, Mike Brown is supposed to fight Carlos Condit January 30th for the UFC. That's kind of cool. And,
really?
Kelvin Gastelum and Ian Heinisch also booked for that card. Alistair Overeem will be fighting Alexander Volkov February 6th in a main event for the UFC.
That'll be good.
It's not bad. And this weekend, it's Paul Felder stepping in for Islam Makhachev to take on Rafael Dos Anjos. Now, this sucks.
What? Come on. Give some respect to Paul Felder coming in always at the last minute.
This is like
saving it.
This is like Jerry Lawler coming in to wrestle Bret Hart. It's like, he's just the announcer guy. You don't really want to see him wrestle. You want to see like the real fighters. Like, come on, Paul Felder's just on commentary, man. And he's stepping in to fight Rafael Dos Anjos. This is why the UFC should not book these weak-ass cards, because when you lose your solid main event, you're left with scraps. Like, the rest of the card is barely worth watching, and the main event was really what you were tuning in for. Now the main event is also barely worth watching. At least with Islam Makhachev, the guy's a rising star in the UFC. If he can beat Rafael Dos Anjos, he steps up to the next level, the 155-pound division, and he becomes a serious player and a contender there. Paul Felder, he's already said if he beats Rafael Dos Anjos, he's going to retire. Like, there's nothing on the line. He's basically like, let's try it. Dos Anjos is like, I was a 155 champion. I went up to 170. I was okay. It didn't quite work out. I'm going back down to 155. I'm kind of old. This is the last run. He's 36. Like, this is not a very intriguing fight. I don't care about this fight. I wanted to see Islam Makhachev. He got hurt, I think. I don't know what happened. What happened to Makhachev? He tested positive for COVID or something? No, staph infection.
That sucks.
Staph infection. That's what happened.
Forget it.
So Islam can't fight. And Islam is a good fighter. This is a guy I wanted to see fight. 29 years old from Dagestan. He's one of Khabib's buddies. He's on a 6-fight win streak in the UFC. This is going to be a big fight for him, but nope. Felder instead. Like, it's good that they still have a fight, but it's bad that this is the fight because I wanted to see a bigger fight. Felder plus 165, Rafael Dos Anjos minus 190, the favorite. I agree. I'm going with RDA in this one.
What?
I mean, Felder was not training to fight.
He's won one out of his last 5 fights, man. I don't know. You know what? I was looking at the odds, and I'm like, Paul Felder, at least he's 5-2 in his last 7 fights. The guy is solid.
Who's he?
You know what? He's like, he fought Dan Hooker back in February. It was a split decision. Lost. Yeah.
He lost.
So
who Dos Anjos is losing to? The elite of the welterweight division. Kobe Covington, right. Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, Michael Chiesa, who's like not the elite of the welterweight division, but those other guys,
Look, man, this fight is going to go
I don't think
distance.
It's a bad fight. I don't think it's a bad fight.
I don't think it's a bad fight. I think it's a bad main event.
Yeah, you're right. But Dos Anjos is on a bad streak. Felder is doing well recently, so that's it makes sense. It's a decent main event. The rest of the card is very weak, man. I see a guy named Chaos, which is kind of cool, but other than that, there's nothing on this.
But Fred, he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, Chaos Williams.
I know. So. And I Googled his name, and his real name ain't even Chaos. It's his nickname.
Boo.
His real name's Kalen. Kalen
So that's
Williams.
just what the UFC's trying to do. So we've got Chaos Williams versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan in the co-main event. Who? Saparbek Safarov takes on Julian Marquez. Who? Antonio Arroyo takes on our buddy Eric Anders. At least we know Eric Anders from Alabama.
Eric.
There's that. Brendan Allen faces Sean Strickland. And then a bunch of prelim fights. Randa Marcos, Canadian fighter, takes on Kanako Murata. Other than that,
she keeps fighting Randa. It's good.
Yeah, she's tough, but, whatever. This isn't a great UFC card. It's basically main event, and then the rest of it, I don't know. I don't even know if
But we're still giving our picks.
I don't have picks for this.
Come on.
I don't have picks for this.
Why not?
I don't know who any of these people are.
RDA. Don't care about the rest.
I'm going with I'm going with RDA to win as well. Don't care about the rest. I'm not giving you a pick.
I'm going with Paul Felder on this one, boys.
All right, fine.
Paul Felder, underdog.
AJ's got the underdog Felder. Freddie and I going with the favorite, Rafael Dos Anjos. Just as a reminder, Freddie and I were 4-0 last week, and AJ was 3-1. Just to remind you, AJ.
The judges ruined it, but that's okay.
I think your picks ruined it.
No. Moser won, but hey, it's okay. It happens. It happens. You know how it happens. It might happen to you guys with Rafael.
It might.
You know?
It might.
It might. He's
Things
only
happen.
1-4 in his last 5. You know?
Yeah,
and let's put it this way.
I've got him winning. I've got him winning by I don't know, probably a decision.
Yeah, decision is exactly what I'm giving it to on Felder.
I'm giving an RDA decision. I think
there's going to be no knockouts or knockdowns.
He might submit him. I think RDA, much better grappler than Paul Felder. He might tap him.
I don't think it's happening.
No? He's a good wrestler, too. RDA is a good grappler, man. I'm telling you, RDA might tap him. If Felder's been tapped 0 times in his MMA career. Might be tough, but I think RDA is definitely going to use some takedowns, keep him down on the ground, if he hopes to win.
Look, yeah, submission, but it's not going to be any stoppage because Felder's only had 1 stoppage in his 22-fight career. Only once that's happened. Yeah. So this fight, you take it for the distance. It's going to be a 25-minute fight, but I'm going with Felder on this. For some reason, Felder comes, he delivers, and you know what? He's going to win this.
All right, there it is. AJ going with the dog, Felder. Freddie and I going with the favorite, Rafael Dos Anjos. Don't forget to check out our friends over at Manscaped. They've got some great products to help you stay clean, stay smooth in your ball area, okay? They've got the Lawnmower 3.0. You can go get that right now. It's available right now in Canada. And if you use the promo code Ringside20 when you go to Manscaped.com, use that promo code Ringside20 to get 20% off your order plus free shipping. It's a great deal. They have some great products over there to keep you smelling good. Anybody that goes near your balls will thank you. Your balls will thank you, and you'll be happy. You'll feel like a new man. All right? Everybody likes some nice, clean, good-smelling testicles. So go and get those cleaned over at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Promo code Ringside20. And that's about it. Go to ringsidereport.net for more on everything that we do. Follow AJ on Twitter and Instagram at Danny Bruck. Follow me at Dave Simon MMA. Follow Freddie at Freddie MMA on all of the things. A big thanks to our production team for helping us out. A big thanks to everybody watching, especially our super chatters tonight. Patrick C. Hamilton, my man, out in Regina, Saskatchewan. Thank you, Patrick, for supporting the Ringside Report Network as you always do. Jason Pete out in Mexico, thank you very much, Jason, for supporting the show as well, and everybody watching on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. We appreciate you. We will be back. I'll be back here tomorrow night. God damn. Back here tomorrow night for Wrestling Uncensored live right after SmackDown, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right after Smacking It Down. Johnny North and I will be talking about the WWE and AEW wrestling. Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley, December 2nd. It's going down for the title. Let's go, Kenny! Thank you, everybody. For Freddie and AJ, I'm Dave. See you later.